Hi, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here. Thank you to all the folks who made this happen. I I have a chapbook that was released last year. It's called Dream Elevator, and many of the poems were inspired by my childhood growing up as a daughter of immigrants in Minnesota. So I'm going to read one poem from this book called Holy Chrysanthemum. Oh, and then context. So my birth name in Mandarin is Lin Shengju. Lin being my surname, which means forest or grove, and then Shengju means holy chrysanthemum. So that is the title of this poem. When I was born, I bloomed into a chrysanthemum, the kind they make tea out of, the kind that gets capped in box tins and sent away. When I was born, I was shipped over the Pacific to be shelved next to my loose leafed cousins, all of us smiling down the aisle, people saying we were darling little things. When I was sold, my head was a tiny sun dropping into a ceramic mug, my petals unfurling in the heat, steam releasing in curled wisps like pigs' tails, wisps that whimpered in the naked air. I learned it first in English. Chrysanthemum, reciting the syllables like catching myself on a stumble. Chrysanthemum, as in christen the baby, mumbling in an airplane's womb, face folded into a mother's armpit, tender stem peeling out over ocean to San Francisco. The gold country, gold sun, country of golden sun, where my ancestors once sung on the railroads, broken souls, worshipping the theology of white, white, white. Everywhere in Minnesota there were people, good, kind people, the good kind of people, but not the kind that understood. Now, Mum, as in Mama, dear Mum, you cradled me on that flight to blossom softened in the tossing of the foreign wind. From that day forward, you raised me with the hope that a name can be a protection. So we chanted the other character to make it true. Sheng Zai, Sheng Zai, Sheng Zai, you moaned at church. Holy, 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 I squawked at chapel, believing it could be a promise or a prophecy, dear Mum. Only after I had burst into 1,000 fronds did I realize you assigned me an impossible name. For the preacher said to be holy is to be set apart, to keep oneself pure for special purpose. But how can I be so when I am cargo? To be clean when the dirt so clings. So this next poem, I wanted to read it here because we are on a historical site in which around 500 folks from China were living here and fishing here during a very tumultuous time leading up to the Chinese Exclusion Act. And yeah, as I was learning about this history, I learned that many of the folks here likely worked or knew folks who worked on the Transcontinental Railroad. And despite being a major labor pool in building the railroad, there, as far as we know, isn't any existing letter or diary or memoir from the workers themselves. So this was written from their, what I imagine to be their perspective, and it's called Artifact. Our search for gold became a railroad. Its tracks, miles of feet, studding desert and mountains, white men mistake for salvation. But we know that a rock takes no prisoners. A boulder, a fist, born again and again, christened by each blast, blackened shards in our blood. How night is always teeth, tasting iron and snow, kills like silk around the neck. Our stomachs collapsing like tunnels the way our names blend into one. Coolie, chink, eastern snake begging for work, our wages paid in accidents and what civilization leaves behind. Ashes, tools, missing sons, no proof of distress but blisters and memory. Yet even these will fade. What do you call a history that omits its sorrow? The singing of bones under steel. So these last two poems are in the Sparkle and Blink book. And yeah, as someone who grew up in a lot of in a very natural landscape in Minnesota, I find myself just really identifying myself with that. And so this poem is set in the context of, it's sort of addressed to the Mississippi River obliquely, and it also is thinking about my relationship to the land and my relationship to my family. So it's called To the River. I went to the river once, called the head of a trout, a vowel I can only pronounce in my sleep, folded crabgrass against itself, sliced, my finger open to find nothing, beating between want and bone. Feathers glued to my knuckles, stalks, piercing my skin like false suns. I walked, and the way of my walking was how children lose their names. Still, there are doors I cannot open, a heart that fell into my mailbox once with a note that said to feed it oxygen, grace, and green beans, but when it opened its mouth, it demanded donuts. Which side, I asked the heart, of love is better? The dread before or disappointment after But then its valve clogged, and all I could hear was the muffled thrashing of blood. Only years later, when water brushed my skin, did I feel the agony of all of which I did not know. Cities feeding upon themselves, bodies and their radiant wounds, pools of trash. Or how I became my mother, who, when she could not take away my loneliness, declared it was all in my head. So I went to the river, knelt by the bank, and swallowed all of it. So as I mentioned, my surname Lin means forest or grove in Chinese. So this is another name poem. It's called Translation. The tree calls to me, and that is enough. Despite my life, bound as leaf to gravity, my words, cargo thrown overboard, in this shade I am surrounded, wrapped by wood and wound in the cradle of a hidden ear. The war is near. Even as others say the war has gone, but feel how it leaves its remainders in us. Our chests filled with intended burnings, stockpiled denials that laugh at apocalypse. For who can say money is enough, or whether science will save us, and yet the eucalyptus, with her trickling hair breathing stop, or bruise us forever, arresting some sliver of me, while light passes through to another trunk, exploding on a bike, swerving past. And it is evening when I gather what few futures I can calculate, none of which keep the immeasurable. The seed that erupts beneath a shivering meadow, new skin, streaked in a pale rainbow, or how I know forests hunger to be seen as much as those named after them, or why my dreams have the calligraphy of saplings, or each day that I rip, I am new. Thank you.